Hello, how are you?
Hi.
I'm Arnika Dawkins and delighted to be here today and want to thank Dr. Fahamu Peku for inviting me to have this conversation with the Fishers. I'd love to introduce you to them and I'm going to read their bio. Dr. Damon and Kimberly Fisher have been collecting African art for 15 plus years. Their love of African American art developed while attending college at Morehouse and Clark Atlanta University. Upon Kim's graduation, Damon gifted Kim a print called The Graduate by Ernie Barnes, and their love for visual art began to blossom. Since then, their passion for art has served as a conduit for them to discuss cultural stories surrounding the past and present of African American history and legacy. As cultural advocates, the Fishers have built their collection surrounding emerging and contemporary artists. Their collection is established by all mediums such as collage, figurative, sketches, abstract, and conceptual art. They have been successful in procurement of their collections by attending studio visits in art galleries, traveling to various art fairs, and networking with other like-minded collectors. Dr. Fisher is an orthodontist in Metro Atlanta and is a member of SMART Art Collectors Group, and his wife Kimberly served on the board of Tila Studios. Their collection was recently featured in Atlanta Collects at the Arts Exchange in September of 2019. And one of their works by Dr. Fahamu Peku has been featured in several exhibitions across the United States. I just wanted to say that how excited I am to talk to you today and learn more about you and your collecting practice. So I have some questions here that I'd like to start with. And in general, I'd like to start with your collecting philosophy.
First, Arnika, thank you so much for having us. We feel really special to be here with you on this Sunday and share our passion. I guess our philosophy starts off with first just loving, art. And we start from the heart when we meet someone, when we meet the artist, we really want to connect with the artist. We want to connect with the person who's producing these beautiful works, we find as much joy in knowing those individuals as we do in collecting their works, right? So our philosophy really is just that simple. We love the interpersonal relationship between, ourselves and the artist. And then we delve into their work, in terms of, just the subject matter and the stories that they want to tell, by creating the works. I think that's how we collect it.
Yeah, I would say we also, a lot of our pieces are framed around family. Our family dynamic is really important to us. Damien and I both are products of school, school teachers. Our parents were educators and administrators. And that also plays into a big part of why we collect and we look at different pieces.
So in your intro, I learned, or biographical sketch, I learned that one of your first pieces or your first piece was a gift to your lovely wife. Tell us more about that. Like, did you know secretly that she wanted this piece? When you saw it, did you envision her? Tell us more about that.
Well, it's funny, Arnika, she beat me out of college. She graduated before I did. So it was actually a very special moment. I thought that it should be, it should be something dedicated to that moment that was, fitting. So one of the things that I think led me to purchasing that work was while at Morehouse and at Clark AUC Center, we used to sit around the TV every Thursday and tune into the Bill Cosby Show.
You're dating yourself, Damon.
Ah. Absolutely. Absolutely, we are. And, the Bill Cosby Show, in its many lessons that we learned every Thursday that, Cosby was trying to show us every Thursday, we caught the cultural side of it. And if you remember, just by the front door, going up the stairs, it was a piece of work by, I can't remember the name of it.
Was it Barney Honeywood, the funeral procession?
Yes, that was Barney.
Oh, yes. I'm gonna have to make sure I'm recollecting correctly.
Yes, exactly. So do you remember the episode where they had the entire conversation, entire episode around that piece? And I thought that, I look around the room and I see us, and some of the things that we were taking in at that moment. He was shaping our cultural values.
Absolutely.
He was shaping our cultural values. So one thing that I thought was important in that special moment with Kim graduating from college was I would take and understand and really get the value, show the value of her, graduating from college. And I wanted to connect that with art. And that's kind of where our base started. It started with a piece of art, and we celebrated that moment with a piece of art, and that's how it started.
So I have to, a moment of personal privilege. I have to ask, what was her reaction when you presented it to her? Like, she had her degree, first of all, but then you present this.
I'll let her answer that.
I was blown away. And I was just thinking to myself, one thing Damien and I did a lot of when we were dating is we rode around a lot. We did a lot of free stuff, going to different, places here in the city. And when he gifted that piece to me, I was just, blown away again because of the Cosby Show and all of that. And then I shared that with my mother, who appreciates art and, having a background in education. She was just like, oh, he's a keeper. You know what I mean? He has a little bit of, sophistication about himself. He understands the value, of what you've done, graduate from college. And I just thought that was the sweetest thing. He could have done anything. He could have taken me on a trip. He could have bought me something. And mind you, now we weren't married then. We were just dating. We weren't even engaged. Wow. And I just thought that was just, that's a sentimental piece. That's a piece that we would never ever, trade or sell or anything. It really speaks to the volume in terms of who he is as a person.
Do we have a picture of it in what we have the slides today?
I don't think I included that in the slide.
Okay. Well, we'll try to look it up and then try to have it at the end of our talk. So if you had to describe your collection, know a little bit about your philosophy in 3 words, could you?
Ooh.
In 3 words.
So I'll do the first.
Okay.
In 3 words, she mentioned this one. I'm gonna let you do. Okay. And I would say the first word is energy.
Energy.
Love
that.
Energy.
Okay.
And
family.
Family
Family is really super important to us. So definitely family.
Okay.
Right. And I think lastly, passion.
Passion. Oh, I love that. So when you say energy in a description of your collection, help us to better understand.
Well,
yeah. We have a piece that is at the entryway of our home, and she is a warrior princess, and she the artist is Maurice Evans.
Okay.
And when you come home from a long day of working, or when you leave to go to work, you see this piece and it resonates and it evokes an emotion. It tells you that you can conquer all things, as well as when you're coming back into the home, it lets you know that you've had a full productive day as a person.
Yeah.
That strikes an emotion. When I look around our house, every single piece, and I always say, me and Damien talk about this all the time, art should make you feel something. It should make you, either have a retrospective moment of your life or a period or somebody in your family, but it should draw you to have a connection point. So I would definitely, say that piece of that specific piece definitely strikes and, energy.
In your description of Warrior by Maurice Evans, you gave me chill bumps. And, my husband and I are collectors as well, and we have a piece at our front door that, and I remember talking to like a art scholar. They said, what's at your front door kind of announces to everyone what this is all about. And so I still have chill bumps when you were describing the energy. Okay, so family.
Yeah, family. There was a moment when we worked with Radcliffe Bailey to create a commission piece for our home, and of course, Radcliffe starts off with the photo, and he's like, "Okay, we're gonna pick a photo, and we're gonna pick it, and we're gonna go through all these photos." So he came up with a photo of a group of people, and typically he'll do the one image of the person, solo image. And I said, well, I was thinking more of something, family oriented. And he said, oh, okay. So he throws out this one image, and boom, that was it. I mean, it was a group of African Americans. It appears that they are on a Saturday, on a Sunday, because they're dressed in defiance. There's different expressions in the photograph, there's different ages in the photograph, from old to very young, and that basically was the foundation of, I think, of a family piece, something that just spoke to family. And then I let him, of course, do his 7 layers. I let him, tell the tale as it related to the African American family from, our days in Africa to now in Western, society. And it's just, he nailed it. He nailed it.
You're speaking of family and energy. I can feel the passion that you have for your work. And honestly, I'm digressing a little bit, but it's one of the reasons why I decided to open a gallery. I wanted us to experience the joys of collecting art and living with it. And it's just wonderful to see you guys exude. Art is the gift that keeps on giving in so many ways, the visual aspect of it as well as the storytelling. And so you mentioned Maurice Evans, you mentioned Radcliffe Bailey. I see a Kevin Cole behind you. You mentioned about knowing the artists that you collect. Can you tell me more about those interpersonal relationships that you have?
I'll let Kim start because she likes the social aspect of it, and I'll let her start there.
So Damien and I, quintessential as a couple, we are very social people. We like to, gather, with food and friends,
Except for this year. Except for 2020, right?
Oh yeah, no gathering. No, we've been Zooming. But that's kind of typically who we are. Even so much so during our Thanksgivings and those type of things. We just love to play games and gather. And again, if I'm at a gallery and I see a piece and something resonates, I want to know, what is the story? What made you create that piece? Is there something in your background that, frames this narrative? I have one artist that I've been kind of secretly stalking a little bit that I like, and her name is Shaniqua Gay. Yes, she had a really nice exhibit at Hammond's house. I believe that was 2019.
Yes.
Became just super impressed with her whole imagery and the story that she told about the West End, about us being products of students going to college in that area. And I reached out to her and started dialogue and told her, you're on my list, to collect. So definitely, I would say that the relationship aspect is important. There is nothing like any given Sunday having a Cedric Smith say I'm in town and I come downstairs and there's two cocktail glasses and we're thrown into a whole discussion about
all day
about art and where it's going and what's hot and what's new and what exhibition is showing and so on and so forth. So we really typically really love the value. We've hosted a lot of different conversations and attended a lot of different dinner parties, conversations around art. So that social aspect is definitely, it for me.
That's great. Damon, are you adding to that or?
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, she said it all.
Yeah, because sometimes we do have the honor and the privilege of meeting our artists that we have in our collections. That's to me, the icing or the cherry on top. But I'm curious, you mentioned Shaniqua Gay is on your list. How do you as a couple collect? Is it that she finds something that she loves and then he comes to love it, or he loves it, or they both decide together, like, this is it? I'm curious about that process.
All right, so that's exactly, Anika, that's exactly how we do it. Kim will see things that I want to see certain times, and I'll move from piece to piece. I'm kind of leading the way, I think, at an exhibition, and I'll see her like hang behind. I'll go, did I miss something? So I'll come back and I'll circle back, even without her. I'll circle back to the piece and I'll say, okay, I saw that, and then we'll get back together and I'll say, okay, we'll go back for a third time together. And then we'll say, like with Shaniqua's work, she just loves the imagery, I think, there. I think that's
it's just so vibrant and powerful and bold, and it says a whole lot of something without even having any words to
energy as a description.
Energy. Yes, the energy for me.
Yes. We have a question from the audience. Will the collectors say a bit about the sculpture work behind Ms. Fisher? And on the piece on the wall, although they can't see it. So lift your computer up just a little bit so they can see the chemical and then come back down. Okay, that's fabulous, fabulous. Okay, now come back down to you guys so that they can see that.
The sculpture, they want to see the.
Yes.
All right, so the two African sculptures that are behind us were pieces that were in Dr. McLaurin's collection. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Long time cardiologist here in the city. I want to tell a story about Dr. McLaurin. When I was at Morehouse, I worked with a guy who owned a clinical lab, and this was my my mom telling me, hey, you got to get a job, you got to start taking care of yourself. So when I would go around to the doctor's offices here in Atlanta, I would see Atlanta at its best.
Mm-hmm.
I would see Atlanta at its best. Dr. McLaurin's office cemented something in me that I'll never forget. He was a huge collector of African-American art here in the city. He had a fantastic collection. I walked into his office after hours. Of course, that's when the lab guys would come around and pick up the specimens after a long day, and they would leave them for us. I walked into his office and I saw at the door, over a reflecting pool, a Henry Porter piece. A Henry Porter over a reflecting pool. It was absolutely amazing the way that they had it displayed, and the presence that piece had. The suite went from right to left. I turned in, and on the walls he had everything from Jacob Lawrence to Roman Vermeer Bearden, sculptures, and everything. So I never met this man, but I would go back to the lab, and the owner of the lab, who was African American, he said, "Hey," he said, "Dr. McLaurin is a special man. He has a wonderful collection of art, I've heard." So after I got back to Atlanta, I made sure that I introduced myself to Dr. McLaurin. At this point, I was a peer, as a colleague, and he embraced me. He embraced me. We would go over to his house over off of Misty Lake, and we would just sit and talk, and be surrounded by art. So, long story short, here, these pieces here, the sculptures, when his estate had an auction after his death, his estate had an auction, and I always wanted to have a piece of the work in our collection
that he had collected.
So yeah. So Sarita, his wife, she let me know. She said, "Damien, here's your chance. Here's your chance." So I'd always admired these sculptures. They were at the end of this hallway, kind of in a little beautifully framed niche. And I said, "Man, those pieces are amazing." Like I said, I've never seen anything like those. So I was able to get those, to have a piece of Dr. McLaurin's collection in our collection. That way we're able now to pass that along. That I didn't want it to get out of Atlanta. I wanted it to stay right here in the city where other people, maybe another Morehouse guy will come by and see it, in my home, and who knows?
Very nice. What a nice way to honor his
legacy.
Prolific and amazing collection. I had the privilege of seeing it too, and I remember going in the garage, and art was just stacked
everywhere.
And I was just like, I was a young person, and that was very impressionable. So that leads me to a question about your collecting advice that you've gotten or you've received through the years, and any best practices for collecting, or anything that you were told that you stuck with, or has it all been organic in building your collection?
Yeah, so I guess the best advice that we ever received, we received it from a gentleman by the name of Russell Goings. Russell Goings, I want the people out there that are listening in today and looking in, I want them to Google Russell Goings. He's a amazing man. He helped with the Art and Studio Museum of Harlem, Essence Magazine. I mean, his resume is like, a holy grail of African American, in terms of collecting. But Russell embraced us. He said to us over a 2-day period, basically in his apartment in New York, he said, "Listen," he said, "what are you guys doing?" And we were like, "What are we doing? What are we doing? We're collecting art." He's like, "No." He's like, "I don't accept that." He was like, "What are you doing?" And it was those simple phrases that made us really look within ourselves, think, and figure out exactly what we were doing.
Yep.
And, he would point to all the Charles Whites on his walls, and say, "Hey, these are just things. These are things. And these things they don't mean anything if you can't tell the story that, that goes behind them and pass them along to the people who were viewing them at the time." So he made us stewards. He said, "You guys are really stewards. Y'all are caretakers of these things. And if we're going to entrust these things in your hands, then you have to know how to use them." Just the other day, Arnika, if anyone has ever talked to Russ, he never writes you an email. You could email him all day long, and he could have a body of 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs, as long as the email would be. But he will only respond back to you in the subject line.
Okay.
And that's his message.
That's his efficient way of doing it.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Words.
So he said to me, he said, "You have a wonderful collection." He said, "Now give it a voice." Now give it a voice. And I said, "Okay, wow, so those were the stories." He's basically saying that you have to now let the collection speak. What are the stories that you know, the artists are trying to get out there. And so those are the things. I mean, when we have parties here at the house, we'll have, you know, someone will look at a piece of artwork, we'll talk about what the artist intended. Of course, the beauty is there, you know, people are admiring that, but the conversation for the rest of the night is talking about those social issues that the artist was trying to convey. And it goes into an amazing conversation that we just really cherish, you know, from those interactions, those moments that we have with people. So I think that's what he meant for us to do. He wants us to do. And we continue to want to, you know, make him proud, actually. So that's
Well, you know, it's interesting because all of the artwork, you know, that you collect it for a reason, whether it's symbolic, whether it's making this statement, whether, you know, you're just love it because it's just beautiful. But I think what's very interesting about collectors such as yourself is the collection that you put together has a statement too. Each piece has a story behind it, but collectively what you're conveying is very interesting. And so in terms of your collection and for like if a museum, if you toured your collection or if you have the dinner parties and people come by, what does your collection speak of? What does your collection say? And after this question, we're going to look at some of your pieces in your collection.
okay.
Go ahead. No, I'll piggyback.
Okay. I would definitely say that you know, we always try to pull out that the message of family. We always try to pull out that message of family. I think that what's interesting, I think about me and Kim is that we were both from, well, I guess, you know, everyone thinks this, but we're from states that have this rich cultural history like Texas and Florida, you know, and
Who's from Florida?
yeah. Yeah. So, you know, these states have these cultural histories, and we can go back and we can look at, you know, the history books, you know, Juneteenth celebrations in Texas and all these different things that shape African American culture. And when we look at those things, I mean, we really want to kind of be able to kind of continue to tell those stories. You know, we've been placed here in Georgia, and this is a regional place for us. I feel it's on the same parallel as Texas when it relates to, you know, just the people. And then of course, Kim being from South Florida, you know, we're in the same region really, right? Our mindsets are still the same. So that's why we kind of focus our energy on the regional artists in these areas. And we really wanted to help highlight those regional artists. Some of them, you know, their works are sold in far-reaching places, you know, nationally and international. But, you know, we're not in New York, and we want those artists to really be profiled in a way that, you know, that we make sure that people see them.
Love that.
You know, so that's why we kind of focus our collection in more of a southeast regional focus.
So you guys are arts advocates as well.
Absolutely.
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 Yeah.
So I know that the museum is going to take over our screen and show some of the pieces from your collection. But I do know that a burning question, and I just can't wait to hear your answer, is what is your current favorite piece? But I do know that right? Because it's like, which parent is your favorite? Which kid is your favorite? But if you could.
Oh man.
Okay, your favorite 3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
Okay. Okay, before Damien answers that question.
Okay.
I do want to share some work. So
perfect. Oh wow.
Oh, answer this way. Okay. Well, one of my favorite artists is a person that I met through Tila Studios, which I wanted to forward for. Nice. And we were discussing Art Basel, and Tila offers a residency, a garden residency for artists, for women, and they kind of, you know, give them a showcase to show their work for the weekend in Miami. I met this artist, we connected. we talked for, oh, I don't know, about 2 hours. And this is her interview. I'm interviewing her for this position. And something resonated with our conversation. So I said to myself, I am going to work with her. I didn't tell her that. I knew that I was going to work with her. And my daughter turned 16. And most of our friends and family know our daughter, Mackenzie, has autism. Okay. So I wanted a gift to give to her dad for Christmas, something that I wanted him to be just stunned. I wanted him to open it up and just be like, oh my goodness, the same gift that he gave to me when I graduated from college. So Mackenzie and I went on this expedition, and for about 2 weeks out, I was kind of prepping her, telling her what we were going to be doing. And she was supposed to keep it a secret. So she kind of let the cat out of the bag. And he came to me and said, well, Kenzie's doing some kind of photo shoot. And I was like, oh no, Kenzie. But he didn't see the images. So I do want to share the images. And the images are from this artist who's a photographer.
Yes.
Her name is Toki Roan Taylor.
She's amazing.
Isn't she amazing?
Photography is my lane. I'm proud to show her.
She is.
Gallery. Is that your daughter?
That is my daughter. That's
beautiful. And I know that's a cheap word to use with art, but that's beautiful.
Thank you. And this will be the last one.
Oh, wow. How did Mackenzie feel in doing the photo shoot?
Amazing. We ended up taking over maybe 800 images. And I had the hard task of kind of narrowing it down to which we would choose. And it just got to be, I was just like, we'll just take 15 or 16 of these. I can't, I can't do that. But that is one relationship that I would say that was a social connection aspect, but it also evokes and it captures her innocence at 16. It's kind of a throwback to
it's actually, is it?
Yes.
It's marrying the past and the present, and
yes.
It's stunning. It's stunning. Someone in the chat said stunning.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I think I wanted to add something here. When I saw these images, it really, yeah. So I've seen, my baby, of course, go through a lot of struggles in life. And as we get to a point where this is a milestone moment in her life, there's one thing that I really love the way that Kim actually, picked this one expression. And, Mackenzie with her disability in terms of autism, speech is one thing that we struggle with. Mm-hmm. But what Toki actually captured in these photographs is my child's strength.
Don't make me cry.
I know, right? I think what we definitely have in common is that, art is beautiful. We have these expressions about them, but this amazing art is when we feel something. And
absolutely.
Not only the first time that you see it, but every time you see it. And that is a absolutely. Gift that artists give us, this impetus behind why they even create the work. Absolutely. And we're the recipients of it and the ones that get to live with it. That was a stunning piece, and I could see why it's one of your many favorites.
Yes, yeah.
Very special.
So that's Kim's favorite.
Okay. What's yours?
That's Kim's favorite. My favorite artist right now, I would say, gosh.
It's a tough one. I know it was an unfair question, but I had to ask.
Okay, I'm gonna say one that I think is really gonna be a sleeper. Juan Logan.
Juan Logan. Okay.
I want guys to look him up. Juan Logan is out of Charlotte. He is an abstract artist. Okay. That is probably, I would say, mid to late career. I would say mid to late career. Amazing works. The works really kind of start conversation. And that is the big thing about his work. I mean, these works start conversations that people are pulled in by the color, they're pulled in by the composition, they're pulled in by the beauty. But man, if you let Juan Logan tell you exactly what that work was about, you would be like, oh my God.
Knock you over with a feather.
Oh, yes, exactly. Oh my God. You know, it catches people off guard because of the beauty, you know, and he draws you in and then he drops it on you. And you're like, oh my God, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready for it. He has a piece that I think we'll see it in the image. Yeah, it's called Margin.
Margin.
Margins.
Can we pull up margin on the screen? Because one of the questions I had on my list to ask you was who's on your radar, who we should be taking a look at. And so,
oh wow, yeah,
yeah, we have a couple. Yeah,
we got some folks that we're starting to look at. But back to margins. Juan Smith's Margins is just a beautifully colorful piece.
I think we're going to pull that up now.
Yeah, that piece is about how African Americans. That's Alfred Conte. I can start off with
okay.
I can start off with that piece.
Yeah.
Let's start there because Alfred Conte is absolutely one of the most important artists, I believe, working today. Bad. This piece is a sculptural piece. This was introduced to us by Vista Gallery back in the early 2000s. Lynn and Burma, they were amazing.
They are amazing.
Yes, they were amazing in helping us develop this love and passion for art. They called us up and said, hey, we have a young artist who does amazing woodwork. We saw this piece, which is called Negro. It's Negrow. Negrow. And when we started to explore Alfred's work, we realized that this young man is someone who is a master of medium. Master of medium. Whatever he is working in, he masters it. He does it for a moment, and then he moves on to the next thing. Oh. And
an evolution of the
evolution that is just so seamless. So seamless. You know, this piece here, bent wood, the pieces there. This piece is probably about, in scale, it's about 60 or 70 inches in scale.
Where do you hang it? Where is it hung in your home?
Oh, it's in my man cave. It's downstairs in the basement.
Ah, love that. Love that.
Yeah, it's in the basement. So that is just you know, I see Jay. Jay is talking about Alfred's talent. This is Kevin Cole. Kevin Cole is that person who nurtures our passion for art. He does it in an educator's way. He takes us and he says, okay, I know that you don't know very much, but I'm going to help you get to where you need to be.
So that's a piece that's behind you, is that correct?
This is the piece that's behind us. It's hanging behind.
And what is the name of this piece?
I don't know the name of that piece. I think there is a name because he names all of his pieces.
You know, sometimes it's inconsequential what the name is, honestly. You know, it's the energy, it's the flow, it's the expression, it is the aesthetic and the joy that it brings us.
Let me, Arnika, let me tell you a little bit about it. That staff that he is holding there, he placed that in the work. And what it does is it has actually in it the names of all of our family members. So remember, we wanted to always connect our collection to our families.
Love that. So
in the staff that he talked about his grandfather writing in the sand with his cane in Arkansas. You know, those were the stories that he told, and he put the rod in there, I guess, as a symbol to his grandfather. But on that, he wrote the names of our parents, significant dates like our anniversary, Mackenzie's birth dates and stuff like that. So, I mean, just amazing. He even allowed Mackenzie to come into the studio and participate in when he was painting the work. So we took a Saturday, just like an educator would do. I mean, you know, just including in the process and the learning aspect that she got out of that. It was a nice sunny Saturday morning, and it was great. But Kevin Cole is my man. He knows.
Oh,
There it is.
wow.
All right, so this is Maurice Evans. This is what hangs at the front door.
Wow, this is the warrior.
This is Warrior Queen.
I chill bumps. Chill bumps.
Okay.
And honestly, I mean, and I'm looking at it on the screen. I'm looking at it on the screen. I can only imagine.
Damien surprised me with this piece. I saw this at where were we?
We were at an exhibition. We were at Atlanta's, I think it was the Black Art Fair here in Atlanta. The one we used to have every year, National Black Art.
Yep.
I saw that. I was like, Damien, I love it. He was like, okay. I said, no, I really like this. I
Yeah,
like,
that was a piece.
You know, it speaks to me. And he bought it for me.
Is it metal? Is it metal?
No, it's actually
it's
wood.
wood.
It's wood. It's a collage of wood pieces. And you know, of course, Maurice is a photographer. So those images, he captured all those images. And this was one of his, I think, collage pieces. I don't think he does a lot of collage pieces. Well, he does. No, I'm sorry. He had a whole series. He had a whole series
with the Warrior Queen. But Damien surprised me with this and got this for me for Valentine's Day.
Love that. Love
Yes.
that. So Kimberly, I have to ask you a question. I didn't mean to cut you off. So I know that Damien got you The Graduate and he got you Warrior. What have you gotten him that has just not?
I have given Damien love.
No, this was the one piece I think that floored me. I mean, you know, that whole piece, it sent me over the head. Yeah.
Absolutely. So can we see the next one? Oh, wow.
Cedric, no, I'm sorry. This is Woodrow Nash.
Okay.
This is
you have a lot of sculptural work in your collection.
Yes, we love sculpture.
We do.
Woodrow Nash.
Yeah, Woodrow Nash. He's out of Akron, Ohio. If you guys are familiar with the Whitney Plantation down in New Orleans, if you go down to the Essence Festival, go outside the city to the Whitney Plantation, maybe an hour outside the city. And on that plantation, they have, Woodrow has probably about 50 to 60 life-size sculptures that are placed throughout the entire property. And you will be amazed.
Is this one life-size as well?
Yeah, this one's life-size. This one probably stands about 70 inches tall.
Wow. Wow. Oops.
Yeah, that one's a life-size one.
Oh my goodness, Deborah Roberts.
There's Deborah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, Deborah Roberts, homegirl from Texas, Austin, Texas. You know, love her work, love her energy. And so this goes back to, you know, how we like to foster artists. You know, when Deborah was coming to Atlanta to give to do an exhibition at Spelman, we had the fortunate opportunity to host her here at the house. So we had her here. We had some friends and family to come over to meet her. One thing I like about Deborah's work is in terms of its presentation of Black females, young Black females. Of course, again, with Mackenzie, I wanted to make sure that her work is all about the strength of Black females, right? Children. Yeah. And I thought, you know, when I introduced her, I said, hey, your work embodies, you know, my daughter.
Absolutely.
It embodies her spirit. It embodies her energy. And I said, only you can do that, until we saw Toki's work.
I know, right?
You know, until we saw Toki's work.
Right next to it, I love the arrangement that you have with the terrarium and the sculpture and the coral.
Yeah, we got Shaniqua there, Shaniqua Gay, who's Kim's favorite. And then there's a Juan Logan right there in the middle.
Juan Logan, yes.
Logan.
And then in the front, is that Shaniqua Gay's work?
Yes, that's Shaniqua Gay.
Wow. That's a powerful table. That's a powerful vignette right there. You guys. So I'm just going to put it out there in front of all of our guests that I want to be on this list of friends and family.
Absolutely.
We'd love to have you here at the house. Love to have you here.
Wow, look at this piece on the screen now. That's amazing. Who is this by?
That is, Simmons.
Yeah, Danny Simmons.
Danny Simmons.
So what's the Russell Simmons? His brother is an artist. And
No, Russell Simmons is the guy from Def Jam.
That's his brother.
Danny Simmons.
Danny is the artist. Russell is his brother.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a collector as well and an artist. And we had the privilege of actually meeting him at an art festival hosted by Najee Dorsey in Harlem. Yeah, it was in Harlem.
Yeah.
Shout out to Najee. He's on today.
Yeah, Najee's our guy too. But Najee puts on these different art fairs, and Damien and I, people ask me this all the time, but yeah, we do schedule trips and vacations around going to art and exhibits and galleries. If we're in a different city, we make sure we do that. But love his work. Damien actually found this piece, and when he showed it to me, I was like, oh my God, that's amazing.
You know, Najee actually helped me with this piece.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, sure did.
Stunning. Love it. Love it. Energy, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Another Woodrow Nash. Another Woodrow Nash. So his sculpture, remember, it can go outside. So this piece, we have it in North Georgia. So it's been there probably, 12 years, and she's been outside. She's weathered amazingly well. And, you know, you have to look up Woodrow Nash and look at his children's series. The children's series is amazing. Amazing. Charlie Palmer.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, Charlie Palmer. Old school Charlie. This was a day that he and I went to a flea market, and we were just hanging out one Saturday morning. So we go in, he goes his way, I go my way. He comes back, we meet together. I said, man, what'd you find? He comes back with these washboards. He said, man, I think I'm gonna do some work on these washboards. I said, well, you know, I gotta get a piece. And so this was one of the ones that he made from a blues singer. Blues singer. But yeah, we love those works. Those turned out amazing.
You know, it feels very rooted in both of your Southern heritage with the wine.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Cedric Smith.
Yes.
Cedric Smith, yeah. So you know, just his imagery. Cedric is amazing when it comes to the simplistic, you know, beauty of color composition, and you know, he just has an eye for balance, and he focuses your eye in areas, you know, that he just makes it real for you in that very simple way. So love his work.
Oh, Radcliffe and
Kevin Cole, they're my buddies.
So I call it
holding court.
I call it any given Sunday. You know, any given Sunday, there's a studio visit. Any given Sunday, there's cocktails and discussion. And Damien just happened you were over at Kevin's that day, and that was one of those any given Sundays.
Prior to 2020.
Right,
yeah,
right.
This is
prior to 2020.
This is pre-COVID.
Yes.
Pre-COVID. But there's the Juan Logan.
Juan Logan. That was the one that we saw in the vignette.
That was it, close up. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know who this is.
You know,
Fahamu Peku.
Dr. Fahamu Peku. I mean, the man himself.
The man himself.
The man himself.
So is this your man cave too, Damien?
Yes.
Yes.
So here's the thing with Fahamu. Everyone knows that, you know, Fahamu, he did what I thought was the most important thing when it comes to an artist's vibrato. He has vibrato. He understands how to make it real and you see him, right? You know, the slogan, Fahamu is the,
We all
that is, and we all know. And, you know, we were in school here, I believe, in Atlanta during those years, and maybe we missed it, but
Okay.
we knew that there was something going on here in the city that was electric, and we knew that there were people here that were making it the place that Atlanta has developed into. And he is one of them. I totally admire. I totally admire Fahamu's intellectual ability, the way that he understands how to make things that we value relevant.
Yes, yes. And just this blackness and the strength of that.
Yes,
You know, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
more.
So, you know, yeah, okay. So, Athlone Clark. So we have a love also for folk art,
Nice, nice.
and the folk art actually hangs in my practice. So yeah, so most of the practice, well, all the art hanging in the practice is by folk artists. Folk art for me, I treat kids. I'm an orthodontist, and I treat teenagers primarily. And it's interesting how kids respond to these works. You know, when they come into the office, I had one young lady who was sitting in a chair, and she said, "Oh my gosh!" She said she was sitting next to a Mary Proctor, missionary Mary, who hopefully you guys know her, missionary Mary Proctor. She said, is that Mary Proctor's work?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "How do you know Mary Proctor?" She said, "Me and my father, we traveled all over the Southeast collecting her work." I said, "Amazing." She said, "Yeah." She said, "I love her work." Um, you know, one kid was in the office. She fell in love with one of the pieces, and she's an art major. I was able to call up Mary one day on the phone, just at the drop of a hat. Mary picked up and she talked to the little girl.
I love that. I love
She had yeah. She says, "You like my work? I really appreciate that." And I think that that's something that, you know, will stay in that kid's, hopefully will stay in that kid's mind forever when she
that.
becomes,
It's amazing
yeah,
because you never know when a child, a young person is inspired to do what they do, you know, whether
absolutely,
it's as you guys collect art or become an artist or art dealer or what have you, you know,
yeah.
but I think in essence it enriches all of us. Are there more images to show? I know we're getting a little shorter on time. Oh, look at there.
There's Russ.
There's Russ.
There's Russ. That's I consider him our stewardess. He kind of guides and directs us. He always gives us food for thought. And he talks about, you know, everything art, from the business side to the value to the intrinsic value to, you know, legacy, and to be, you know, responsible participants in art. You know,
Love that.
the one thing Damien and I chuckle about this is that, yeah, we spent 2 days with Russ and we felt like we were on an interview. I was like, are we buying art or are we being interviewed? I mean, it was the funniest thing, but we get it.
This is Juan Logan.
Juan Logan again. That's amazing.
Juan Logan. Yeah, this is Juan Logan. This piece is called Margins. And
oh, that's the one. Okay, that's the one we were talking
piece
about. Yeah.
You know, it just talks about how, you know, African Americans, in terms of all of our accomplishments and our contributions to this country, we're always marginalized. You know, we're always pushed to the borders. You know, we have all these people. If you look at it closely, you start to see the faces, the shapes of the faces, and those are all the different ethnic groups that are here in the United States. And some of these people take up territory more than others. But if you look at the center, which everyone wants to be centralized, if you start to look at the margins, the borders, they tend to push us to the border. And even with all of our contributions, we end up being marginalized. And you know, this piece, in its all of its beauty, it draws you in, but then the subject matter is heavy to think about. You know,
But
and
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just thinking that, the conversations that the artists are creating with their work just gives us a springboard to dive deeper, have a better understanding, to also
Absolutely.
have conversations about. And I'm hopeful that the conversations are the things that will make the difference. You think, oh, wow, you think of a group of people, those look like the ones behind you. Are they
Yep.
the same ones? They're that tall? Wow.
Yes.
They were on a table.
No,
No, they're on the
No,
ground. They're on
they're
the floor.
Amazing. I digress. Sorry. I see one question in the chat. I don't want to forget it. For Woodrow Nash's work, they wanted to know the name of the plantation. That's
Oh, it's the Whitney Plantation.
Whitney Plantation outside of New Orleans.
Just outside of New Orleans. Yeah, the Whitney Plantation.
Okay, well, I know that we have I didn't mean to talk so much, but it's just so easy to talk to you guys about your fabulous collection. It's giving me chill bumps through and through this whole conversation. And I'm so grateful to learn about some of the artists in your collection that I didn't know about, and see some of the ones that I also definitely revere. So I just wanted to open it up in the next 5 minutes that we have left for anybody in our audience to ask any questions. I don't know if you want to raise your hand or put it in the chat. Kevin Cole says the title of his piece is Heavenly Faith, and it conquers earthly challenges.
Yes. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin.
We're big fans. So I just wanted to see if there are any questions out there. There are 4. Let's see. So there was an earlier question from Travis Turner. What was your first piece in your collection, and is there a story behind it? I know we talked about it a little earlier, but if you could do it in a nutshell, I'm sure Mr. Turner would love to hear it.
Of course, Travis Turner, who was my college roommate.
Oh my gosh, he knows about it. Travis, you're cheating. You know about this.
He knows about it. He knows it.
The Graduate.
The Graduate.
Did we ever find a picture of it?
Yeah.
That's Juan Logan's work. Yeah.
Can we get a picture of The Graduate, Dr. Peku? Okay. Well, let's see. Are there any other questions from our audience? Don't you just love it just as much as I did?
Anika, we did want to take a minute to talk about
what's coming up. You have you have some plans. We'd love to hear about them. Projects, yes. All right, so Kim and I, being, as you mentioned, art advocates, we are really wanting to push our efforts and energy in a way that we are really fostering artists in the right ways, right? And we wanted to announce today that we're going to create an artist in residency program. Love that.
An artist in residency program. The name of it is Modern View. Artist in Residency. Yeah. Modern View Artist in Residency program. Its location is going to be in North Georgia. And it's in a place where we find a lot of comfort. We find a lot of peace and serenity. It gives us a chance to go there and recharge. But of course, our ideas are sharpened and refreshed as we're there. So I think that this is a place where artists can go and they can create. Of course, its mission is going to be to increase the artist interaction between the community, museums, and galleries.
I love that.
You know, to allow that artist to have the eyes of the community. We want to be able to invite our friends and family and our social organizations that we belong to see that artist. We want to be able to engage that artist, introduce them to new eyes in our community. And then and then further down the line, we want to be able to partner with all of the galleries, such as yours, and museums to help foster those artists emerging and establish their careers. So
If I were an emoji, no, it's this ecosystem that just allows all to thrive. You know, the artists in supporting and the advocacy of them, their ability to create, their ability for museums to look at this work not only now, but in the future, Mackenzie's great-grandchildren. You know what I mean? It's just this ecosystem that just supports it. And so you know, everybody, come on, everybody join me.
we see all the comments.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So is it one artist in residence a year? How frequent? And is it primarily a certain demographic of artists that you are looking for in terms of the application process?
Well, you know, we want it's open. It's going to be open to all visual artists, people who are focused in the humanities and all related areas, right? I mean, we want it to kind of be open. In its establishment, we definitely want to, you know, have a curated panel that can help us, you know, determine these artists and pick and choose these artists. We want to embrace some people who like, again, guys, we want to be led. We want to be able to share in this, you know, in this effort. So we will call on people. Most of you guys out there today will call on you to help us curate these people, the artists. In terms of its time, we're thinking about definitely a summer month, sometime during the summer, to give them a chance to experience the nature in this area, and maybe they'll find some inspiration from that. The duration, you know, we're still planning, of course. We'll have to figure out what's best from, you know, all the panelists to tell us how much time is really needed. And of course, it's going to be supported financially. We want to make sure that the artist has all the resources that they need to be able to go there, create, and do what they need to do.
Be inspired.
And then we want to, after that, get to work. We want to get to work, you know, with that artist and plan during a fiscal year activities surrounding that artist, you know, that continues to profile that artist throughout that year. And we hope to have a alumni group that's esteemed. You know, you guys are going to help us with that. You know, and then we'll come together. You know, we'll look at it years from now to see what we've done.
Very good.
I like that. That Damien, you know, actually he's all things fabulous, but he actually came up with the residency program, and he mentioned it to me. But it does speak to the whole thing that we were charged with, which is being cultural undertakers and protecting our legacy and making sure that our stories are told, and giving support to these artists in this manner. I think is a good way. It's a good start.
That's great. Well, my hat's off to you. I certainly enjoyed chatting with you, seeing your work, all the kudos in the chat. Everyone's very excited about what you're doing in your collection. Again, remember, I want to be on your friends and family list. But I also wanted to thank Dr. Fahamu Peku for inviting me to do this conversation with you. Hats off to him for the African Diaspora Art Museum of Atlanta. Please know, it's this ecosystem. We all support one another. We're all in this. Feel free to make a tax-deductible donation to such an amazing institution. And it's through our support that these institutions continue to grow and thrive, just as all the artists. I want to say hey to my peeps, Toki and Najee, and I think Kevin Cole was on there. So it's great to see everybody. And thank you again for your time. I'm glad you could join us today.
Anika, thank you.